Hey everyone, Christian here with another palm review, and this is going to be Chamaerops humilis variation Vulcano. Now, this is Chamaerops humilis is a monotypic genus. There's only one species, but there's a lot of varieties of humilis, and this one is a particularly curious variety. It is very compact. The leaves are very they're smaller. They're kind of not as deeply segmented. You won't find them as segmented as some of the other green varieties, or even Cerifera, which is the blue variety. And Chamaerops should actually be pronounced Chamaerops. I just don't do it out of just I've said it so many times that I can't make myself say it the other way. The same goes for example, sable is actually supposed to be pronounced sabal in Latin, and Chamaerops should be Chamaerops. But anyway, it's going to be called Chamaerops because, well, I said so, and I've said so many times that I can't unsay it. So anyway, moving on. So this palm, the range of Chamaerops is all throughout the southern Mediterranean. Oh, I'm sorry, southern Mediterranean coast of Europe and the northern Mediterranean coast of Africa, all the way into the Atlas Mountains in northern Africa, where the blue variety grows. Now, this variety, variation Vulcano, grows only on a few islands in the Adriatic Sea, just west of Italy. There's Vulcano Island, I believe, is an actual island in itself. And there were a lot of stories that went about this Vulcano Island, that it was run by the mob, that if you took any plants off the island, they would, any males, mated pairs, that they would try and, shoot you. There's a lot of fairy tales that would be going on, as I call them, around certain species. So obviously a lot of plants made it off, and there's a lot of seed available of this plant. It's a little bit pricier than, say, your regular Chamaerops humilis seed, but it's not expensive. I would say it probably goes for like 40 cents each, which is pretty reasonable. So it's native to those Adriatic islands there off the coast of Italy. It might be only to the one island. This is a relatively new palm in the collector's world. I'd say it's like 10-15 years old, as opposed to saying being 50 years old, being around for a while. They must have just kind of found this variety growing on a couple hills. So with the compact nature, with the leaves that they hold together real close, and if you look at it, if you look at your average Mediterranean fan palm, it's going to be much more laid back, even in full sun. It's going to have a bigger trunk. This is probably 10 or 12 years old, and I actually had one of these. Sorry about the traffic. There's a lot of loud trucks in this road for some reason. So I actually had one of these varieties, and back when they were very rare in America, and I had it in my backyard, and we had a tropical storm event. It wasn't like a hurricane. It was more of just a lot of rain, and the spear pulled on mine, and I was very depressed about it for I don't know, a longer time than I should have been. But I was I'm a legitimate collector. I get really upset when I lose plants. It's something that you do when you really love collecting. So anyway, luckily they are around quite a bit now, and they're really nice. You can keep these in a pot even longer than regular Chamaerops humilis varieties, just because it stays so small. This could, if you dug this out of the ground here, probably could put it in as something as small as a 7-gallon. I'd probably put it in a 10 or 15, but if you had to, say, it wouldn't even need a pot this size, and that's going to be about a 10-gallon, maybe a little bit bigger pot. That's probably actually a 15-gallon pot, so it doesn't need a 15-gallon even. So you can keep this. You can bring it in when it's cold. Say below freezing. This palm, I believe, can handle just as much cold as the other varieties, so it can get down to 15 degrees or so, where you're going to start having problems. So it's a solid zone 8B, probably into 8A. And the backside of the leaflets here, as you can see, have this kind of whitish tomentum about them that's quite beautiful, and the crown has a kind of that black base. I'm sorry, the base of the petioles are black in the crown, and that's partially due to humidity, and partially it actually has a little bit of it naturally. So that's what I've noticed. So these are monoecious. These are dioecious palms, meaning you need a male and a female. So if you want to try and breed these yourself, you're going to need two, and you're going to need one to pollinate the other. so they're not self-pollinating, and they don't like a ton of rain from overhead. So if you're going to water them down below here. And the seed is going to look like a shelled peanut. Really, it's kind of the best way to put it. It's kind of like a small date. It looks pretty much the same as a regular Chamaerops seed. It might be a little bit smaller, a little bit rounder, but it's still going to have the general shape of the regular Chamaerops seed. And make sure you have a well draining mix. Use a lot of perlite, a lot of sand, mix it in with a regular germinating mix that you would buy at a box store or local nursery, and give this a lot of heat. You can also use the baggie method for this. Use some moist perlite, put it in a baggie, put it somewhere warm on the top of your fridge, on your cable box, anything that generates heat in the winter if you live in a colder climate, and you'll find that they germinate pretty well. Usually within 1 to 2 months. If the seed's pretty fresh, it might take longer. If it hasn't germinated in 3 months, don't give up on them. They can take a little while if the seed isn't that fresh. So it's a really nice little palm. I think it should be in the landscape world a little bit more. It fills in a void for, like, you could make little hedges out of this. Unfortunately, it's not that fast for a grower, so that's probably why it hasn't made it that far. But anyway, that's going to be pretty much the end of the Chamaerops humilis variation Vulcano. But if you have any questions, leave them down below. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe, and you'll see many more reviews like this. And if you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see y'all next time.